sport itself is insane. It's swinging razor blade axes.
3 shots from Cassidy Shear.
If it was the biggest, strongest guy to win the 6 disciplines, I would probably win 95% of the time.
Quick to the wood is Jason Lynch.
Athleticism and precision and mental focus trump strength anytime.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of mental stress.
And you're just staring at that piece of wood in front of you, and it's like, how am I going to dissect this the fastest, most efficient way?
Timber. Great clean underhand cut. 3. Looking bigger and stronger than ever. It's right on the go in unison. 2. Just exceptional choppers. Very aggressive. 1. Man, was he shifting timber. This is going to get real serious in a hurry. Go!
STIHL Timbersports is the pinnacle of lumberjack sports.
Here we are more than ready to go in the first of 2 semifinal rounds that are the pathway to the STIHL Timbersports U.S. Championships for 2022. To get it started, let's bring him out. One of the finest choppers and sawyers of all time, a true living legend in lumberjack sports, Super Dave Jewett.
Hey, thanks for having me. Here we go again. For those of you who were here, we just wrapped up the rookie division, and I'm so happy to be hosting this show, carrying it right into the professional ranks. I am Super Dave Jewett. I competed in this crazy STIHL Timbersports for 25 years, the original extreme sport. So much is happening today. We've got the men's semifinals A, men's semifinals B. Then tomorrow, we'll have the men's final and the women's professional finals. The men will be doing 6 events today. 3 chopping events, 3 sawing events, and this is broadcast around the world, live stream. There's 27 countries now involved in STIHL Timbersports, which started right here in the USA. And this is also being recorded for CBS Sports later on this fall. Look for broadcast dates on STIHL Timbersports website. Fortunately, I've got a little help up here from 2 of my buddies right over here. Tommy Sanders has been here since the beginning, the golden voice of Tommy Sanders, and alongside him, ex-Timbersports athlete, crosscut world record holder, Kevin Holtz. Gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Super Dave. I appreciate it. And Kevin Holtz, we've got 2 pools of 10 athletes each. Each of those 10 athletes are going to have to wind up in the top 6 positions if they want to advance to the finals. Both pools, needless to say, are loaded. As we look at Pool A, who stands out to you?
Well, it is just a who's who of names here. Obviously, names like former champions like Matt Koger, Cassidy Shear. I've really got my eye, though, this year on a rising star, an absolute bottle rocket. This guy's been on a launch pattern. Nate Hodges. I really am curious to see how he pans out in 2022, but there are a whole lot of contestants in this pool. Any one of them could qualify and advance to the finals.
Boy, it will be a tough competition. It should be a great Pool A event here. And so let's meet the players. We throw it back to you, Dave Jewett.
I'll take it over. Let's bring him out here, all the way from Canandaigua, New York, Matt Bolton. And from Bedford, Pennsylvania, Zach Brous. Marquand, Missouri's own Aaron Hovis. From Barnett, Vermont, big round of applause for Calvin Willard. Coming all the way from Bend, Oregon, give it up for David Green. And one of our youngest athletes from Matthews, North Carolina, big round of applause, Ben Nicely. the veteran from Webster Springs, West Virginia, Arden Koger Jr. Springboard world record holder all the way from Norfolk, California. Give it up for Nate Hodges. From Minneapolis, Minnesota, Timber Sports champion Cassidy Shear. And our 6-time Timber Sports National Champion, Matthew Koger. And our head judge refereeing the match will be Rich Hallett. And the assistant head judge, big round of applause, ex-Timber Sports athlete, bronze medalist. What's your name? Buckner. Nate Waterfield. All right, we got 6 events going on. Take a good look up at the Jumbotron for the breakdown of what you're about to see.
Let's take a look at how our 3-round competition is scored. In round 1, our 10 competitors will compete in 3 events: the underhand, the stock saw, and the standing block. Then only our top 8 advance after that round into round 2. In this round, they'll compete in the single buck and the springboard. 6 athletes with the most points after round 2 advance to the final round. The remaining field of 6 survivors will compete in the hot saw. The remaining field of 6 survivors will compete in the hot saw and punch their ticket to the finals of the U.S. Championship.
Will be the underhand chop, the first of 3 chopping events. Take another look at the Jumbotron to see more of the underhand.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32 centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
If you want to see the job done right, let's rewind back here to Matt Koger. Watch this run. This is from Milwaukee just a few short years ago. A 13-second chop from Matt Koger puts him at top of the field. Look for these times to easily melt into the mid-teens today.
Well, there you go. We have 10 competitors. Of course, that means 5 heats coming up for each of our disciplines here today in the underhand chop. We'll see heats featuring Cassidy Shear and Matt Koger, Arden Koger Jr., and Nate Hodges, David Green, Ben Nicely, Aaron Hovis, Calvin Willard. And Dave, we are ready to go with heat number 1. Bring out our guys.
First heat of the underhand chop, Matt Bolton and Zach Brous. Bolton on your left, Brous on the right. 32 centimeters of white pine. See, each competitor is allowed to bring 2 axes out. They got a backup axe there. Each axe $650 to $700.
Stand number 1 is going to be Matthew Bolton out of Canandaigua, New York. Stand number 2, Zach Brous, Forrester from Bedford, Pennsylvania.
Stand to your timber. 1, go!
A matchup of a couple of different strategies here. Matt Bolton has an exceptionally fast swing speed. Zach Brous is a thumper. Watch him just pound this axe into the block. Bolton around first, but he's got a bit of a sloppy start on the backside, peppering some hits. He's got to get that under control. He went to the bottom, missed that top. There he goes back and collects the top, losing his way a little bit, but it's going to be Zach Brous driving off.
Zach Brous driving off. These strong hits want to make sure that block was severed. Give a little kick there. Rich Hallett saying it is severed. With the amount of cameras judging this event today, shooting at 120 frames per second, they will stop the clock right on the final hit of Zach Brous.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Zach, great cut opening up the underhand. You gave a little look at it after it was severed, just to make sure. What were you looking at?
I was just making sure all the fibers were severed before I stepped off. Once I step off, it would waste valuable time if it was broke. If it wasn't broke, they'd disqualify me. So just trying to make sure. I thought it was. I checked it a couple of times. Definitely was.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll go back here and take one more look at the head-to-head matchup here. On the front side of the block, things are going pretty consistent for both competitors. You see large, well-formed chips falling out of the front face of both of these blocks. Matt Bolton, though, loses his way here in the back of this block, kind of sprays the hits around, lost his balance, cleaned it up there, but then you see right there, he goes to the bottom, kind of hoeing out the bottom of this block, goes back to the top there, and it just set him up to drive in a real odd position. Brous, on the other hand, does a great job breaking off a tremendous amount of wood, shoves off with that left foot. That's why these blocks are only fastened at one end.
Big Zach Brous. Time now official 22.44. He is your early leader after one heat of the underhand chop.
Second heat of the underhand chop, Aaron Hovis and Calvin Willard. Hovis. On your left, Calvin Willard, veteran. On your right here. Got a very close heat coming up.
On the left, it's going to be Aaron Hovis on stand number 1. Calvin Willard on stand number 2. Calvin Willard out of Barnett, Vermont, the logger. Aaron Hovis
to your timber.
Marquand, Michigan.
3,
logger
2,
and chainsaw
1,
safety instructor.
Calvin Willard, the logger, and also pizzeria owner now. That's a recent development over the past year. But we're going to see how he does on this underhand chop. I like what I see so far in terms of waste product coming out. This is where we get to see the real work done. Calvin lining him up, driving down to the bottom. Hovis stepped in a little bit on that chip side. Hopefully he's got enough cuttable wood there. Both these guys now reaching down to the bottom. There it is, Calvin Willard. You saw that block just shift ever so slightly. That's all it takes to show you that those wood fibers are severed.
Get a look at the replay. They're just looking at Calvin's log right now, making sure it's legal, and it is. The foot holds the flat spots that they stand on. They can't be severed. The axe goes through that flat area. Technically, it's less wood that they've cut for a good cut.
All right, gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Got Aaron Hovis, a few hits behind Calvin Willard. Talk about what it feels like being your first year in Steel Timber Sports Finals.
Yeah, it feels great. Every year I try to set goals for myself, and this year my big goal was to get here. So already have pretty well accomplished what I wanted for the year. So I'm trying to gain as much experience as possible, come back next year and shoot even higher for next year.
Great. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Here's the replay one more time. There's Aaron Hovis on the near side. Again, we're looking at nice big chips falling out for both of these competitors. That's what we know. We have nice clean cuts. They're placing the hits well. Watch this turn back to the backside, punches it right in the guts, comes up to the high side. The block coming apart very cleanly for Aaron Hovis. Starts to reach down there to the bottom. One in the guts, gets to go back and pick up the chips. There it was. That was the difference right there. Went into that drive pattern just a little bit too soon before that block was ready. Had to switch back over to his left side, the chip side, to clear the wood.
Aaron Hovis with an official time of 33.15. Calvin Willard's time 26.31. Not declared official yet, but we figured somewhere around there, and that will land him in second place after 2 heats of the underhand chop.
Third heat of the underhand chop, David Green and Ben Nicely. David Green on your left, coming all the way from Bend, Oregon. From Matthews, North Carolina, Ben Nicely, one of our youngest athletes out here today. But watch the power he delivers, probably the largest swing out here when he extends and throws that axe into the wood. See, Ben Nicely's got his axe handle chalked up.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
David Green from Bend, Oregon on stand number 1. Despite his youthful appearance, has been competing 16 years in the STIHL Timbersports Series, going against North Carolina's Ben Nicely.
David Green stepped in his chip side a little bit. I think maybe he thinks he's got a great block. It's a little strategy to make the chips lift out easier. It may not have paid out, though. Nicely might reel him in.
No, he got it. No, he didn't.
No, yeah.
Did a wobble, but it didn't break.
Right, that was a gamble and a loss, unfortunately, for David Green.
Disappointed look on the face of David Green right now, knowing he couldn't cut that better. Ben Nicely, the experience of being in the Timbersports ranks. He stayed in the front. Looks like both competitors struggled in the back, though.
All right, gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Ben Nicely, you won that heat. It's your second year in a row making it to the Timbersports semifinals. Tell us about that underhand.
I really wasn't expecting it. It was all there. The wood was pretty firm, so I wasn't expecting to do as many hits as I did. So it threw me off a little bit, but it was a good job.
Tell us the advantage of chalking up your handle before a race.
The slide hand is really the one that needs it. So I'm a slide hand chopper, throw the axe up, come together, no blisters.
All right, thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Here's a look at.
Go, big round of applause, those last two gentlemen. Ben Nicely. Let's see if he is unofficially.
Left foot. I'm thinking maybe he didn't have the stick of wood that he thought he did. Turning our attention over to Ben Nicely. He's also here at the drive. You see that axe just go cleanly through at the top of the block. Tells him he's completely severed there. Reaches those last fibers at the bottom for the finish.
Ben Nicely's official time now 24.64, good enough for second place so far in the underhand chop. Big Zach Brow still on top with his 22.44.
Fourth heat, and it is a powerhouse heat. Let's bring on Arden Coker Jr. and Nate Hodges. Jr. on the left. Arden Jr.'s fastest time in this event is a 16.53, just incredibly fast. But can he keep up with the pace of Nate Hodges?
Two powerful men in this heat of the underhand chop.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Arden Coker Jr. on stand number 1. Nate Hodges, who was runner-up here 2019 as a rookie in these championships, on stand 2, and he's turned already.
Yeah, Aaron Hodges putting so much energy into this block. You saw his foot slide off of his foothold. He's got it gathered back up. It looks like he should be able to take this heat. Drives top, one of the guts down to the bottom, and it doesn't go. Driving again, there it is. Hodges finally, not how he wanted to finish that log. I think he thought he had a better block going. You got to appreciate the contrast here between stand number 1, stand number 2. Arden Coker Jr., a veteran competitor, has been in the sport for decades now. Multi-generational wood chopping family. Hodges on the right, though. I was joking with him last night at an event. I said, "What? You just started this, what, 6 months ago, and you know, getting all these runner-up positions."
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
For the amount of time that Nate Hodges has been in the sport, he has just shown just absolute spectacular growth.
Nate, great cut in the underhand. Boy, some things went wrong. I saw you lost your footing on the front half of that log. Your left foot actually came right off it. You stayed on. You delivered the lower hits in the bottom of the log just to get it off, but a lot of wood remained.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on out there. I was sliding around a little bit, like you said, but luckily I kept my balance, kept it together. That was a firm piece of wood, I felt like. I mean, the times are reflecting that. Looks like it's pretty even for everybody, but hey, good times.
All right, thanks, Nate.
Thank you.
Well, here's a look at that run from Nate Hodges. We'll watch here coming up pretty quick is when his foot, there it is, kicks off the back of that block. You got to transfer all of your energy in that swing down through your feet, and he really gets his toes or his heels back off the block, so just his toes are on there. Here comes the finish. He should have gone 1, 2, 3, and it would have gone again. He does another pattern of 3, and then just starts pounding the thing in the guts before it finally gives way.
Official time of 22.19 for Nate Hodges by about 0.2 of a second. He takes the lead away from Zach Browse. And there's the way it stands at this point. One more heat left to go in the underhand.
Final heat of the underhand chop, Cassidy Shear and Matthew Koger. We got a combination of 7 national titles on stage right now. Slight advantage to the man on your right, whose best time in this event and national record is 13.62.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
The 2 top qualifiers in the underhand, Cassidy Shear on stand 1. Matt Koger on stand 2.
Yeah, Yeah, watch, Cassidy is around early, or around first, I should say. Matt Coger, though, just laying waste to the backside of this block. He's dumped up, he's narrowed up his back face. No, and it's gonna be, oh. Boy, Cassidy Shear stepped off that. He's gambling right here. He thinks he's got it cut, and I gotta agree. It looks like that piece has dropped down. It looks clean as Nathan Waterfield pulls it away.
And we're gonna see it withheld since there's 2 good cuts. But this is unbelievable what has happened in this 5th heat of the underhand.
All right, gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Cassidy Shear is in the first heat of the next event the stock saw, so we're going to let him get ready, and we'll bring up his underhand cut later in the show, because I'm sure it's not the last time he's going to win a heat today. But unofficially, we're looking at sub 22nd time by Cassidy Shear, but it's the upset that just happened. Cassidy Shear taking down the 6-time national champion of Matt Coger.
Well, let's have another look at this run by Cassidy Shear. Just blistering swing speed, sheer determination to rip this block apart. He is a cerebral cutter. He's going to put his hits where they need to go and take this apart in the most efficient way possible. You see how high he is on those high hits, getting the axe out of the top of the block. Gets a little pinch there, and that holds it up. There it is. That block looked a lot cleaner from that camera angle than it did from the first run. A great cut from Cassidy Shear.
Cassidy's time is official, 19.44. He is going to be your winner in the underhand chop. Matt Coger still waiting for his official time. I'm sure it's coming up any moment now. He would be in second place if it's very, very close to what his unofficial time was right there. But Cassidy Shear on top after the underhand. So that also means that Cassidy Shear is on top in our cumulative points. 1 event down. He's got 12 of them right now. Coger and Hodges, 1, 2, 3 as it stands right now. That's going to change throughout this competition, and we got plenty more of it on the way. 5 more disciplines yet to come in Pool A.
Let's go.
When we work in harmony, anything is possible.
Big league performance in your backyard with battery power made by STIHL. Our AK home motor system starts at just $199.99. Not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find yours at over 10,000 local STIHL dealers.
STIHL, the name you love and trust, is at acehardware.com. From chainsaws to edgers, trimmers to blowers, Ace has the STIHL equipment you need. Just pick your power from gas to battery. STIHL has you covered at acehardware.com.
Duluth Trading Company was born from generations who showed us that the only way to live life is to live it hands-on.
To do it the hard way, to take the trail untrodden, to take the damn thing apart, put it back together, and have the world be better for it.
We don't think that the go all in, dig deep, and get your hands dirty spirit exists in everybody.
We know it does. Duluth Trading. Take on life with your own 2 hands.
Heading into the stock saw event. For a better idea of what's doing in the stock saw, check out the Jumbotron.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
Yeah, he's like in the stock saw discipline. Look at the background. Here's Matty Swingerland, one of the best technicians in this discipline. Sub 10-second run. These guys are going to scrutinize every split second. Take a bow, Matty.
All right, again, we have our 10 athletes set up in heats there. Going to have Hovis and Browse in a heat nicely. Matthew Koger and Nate Hodges, Matt Bolton and Calvin Willard. But right now, Dave, we are ready for heat number 1.
Here we go, first heat of the stock saw, Cassidy Shear and David Green. Cassidy Shear on your left there, our overall points leader right now in this semifinal round, Pool A. David Green, one of the best stock saw technicians in the world, right behind them. And they are just chasing these STIHL points right now.
Cassidy Shear, fresh off his early lead, gained with his first place in the underhand
Warm
chop
up
here.
your
He's going to be on
saws.
stand number 1, going up against David Green, one of our West Coast guys from out in Bend, Oregon. Police chaplain by trade.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
40 centimeters of wood.
Every nanosecond counts in this stock saw discipline. How fast did you get to the saw? How fast did you get the saw to the block? How fast is your switch? And of course, how fast can you get through the wood? David Green is going to take that one with Cassidy Shear right on his heels.
Very quick. Hell of a lead into the upcut. Shear pulling him in. But Green was able to hold off with 2 clean discs. Unofficially, we're going to have to wait for the head judge's call. He's very thin on the line, David Green, I will say, on the upcut.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
That's good. They got 4 inches of wood to make 2 complete discs. We're going to see if we can get a word with David Green.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that upcut. I know there's so much to talk about. You're fast into the wood. A slight mishap when you were retrieving the saw. Fast on the down cut, but then that upcut, you were very close to that 4-inch line.
Yeah, so that upcut on that switch over, I was a little crooked, so I had to wrench the saw over to come back, hopefully in, and I was awful close to that line, so I was a little nervous of coming out. So I'll take it. Last year I DQ'd in this event. I'll take a good cut.
Absolutely, good job.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Here's that run. Cassidy Shear in the foreground, David Green in the background. Let's watch this switch over from David Green. You can see that he's just kind of crooked. You see him tip his head around the end of the block as he tries to steer that saw around. What a great angle to show you how close these guys are running head to head. There it is again. David Green, that little peek around just to see how he's doing, making sure he's got a full cut sitting on the deck.
David Green, an official time of 11.92, just a shade ahead of Cassidy Shear. That is the nature of the stock saw. Tight competition, and David Green off to an early lead in our second discipline.
Take a look at this run here. Watch the chips discharging out of this saw. And at a certain point, yes, you're going to max out the horsepower of the saw, but you're also going to max out the capacity of the chain. These chains can only chew so much wood. And you saw on that down cut, you'll watch the chips sort of wad up around that clutch housing. And we'll know when we watch these slow motion videos, we'll know when a stuff up is coming, when these guys are getting too aggressive, because you'll see the discharge coming out of the saw start to pulse. Instead of it cleanly passing out the bottom of that clutch housing, it sort of rolls up in a ball, and it'll spew out a ball of chips, and then it'll pause for a second, spew out a ball of chips again. That's right about the time the saw just stuffs up in the wood.
Hopefully that won't be the case in our next heat, which is moments away.
Second heat of the stock saw Matt Bolton and Calvin Willard.
Two longtime veterans of STIHL Timbersports competition from the northeast quadrant of the United States. That's Matt Bolton on the left from New York State, and Cal Willard from Vermont, the logger, and now we know pizza entrepreneur. Time to beat 11.92, 11.92 David Green.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, trouble on stand number one for Matt Bolton. Calvin Willard, for some reason, just seemed unsettled up there, and I was worried he was going to do what Matt Bolton just did, which was flat out stuff the chain brake and stop the saw dead.
While he's shaking his head, he's disappointed with that. And sometimes the speed can be dangerous. You have to go to your ability. Attempting to go beyond it is trouble.
All right, gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Matt, tell us what happened in the start. So with stock saw, it's all about repetition and trying to do the same thing over and over. And I like to put the handle right at the edge of the wood. And when I came down, I either had the saw a little too far back for me, or I brought my hand down too far in front of it, and I hit the chain brake when I grabbed the saw. And I hit it just enough where it locked it up. So I had to redo that chain brake and then start my cut. Once I was in the wood, it felt like it was running pretty good. There was little times it felt a little boggy, but it's those little things that hurt you.
Thanks, Matt. Well, tough break here for Matt Bolton. There's what it just happened. He came down with his left hand. When he went to grab that top handle, he smacked the chain brake forward, which engages the brake, prevents the chain from spinning. Safety check, I guess, for Matt Bolton. Unfortunately, a tough break. He had to reset it, pull that chain brake back towards him to release the chain. Here's that run, though, on stand number 2. What a great looking cut, clean through the wood. And once again, you want to maximize, there's a sweet spot on the horsepower and torque curve, and you want to maximize that moment of engine power, and you also want to maximize your chain capacity. These are round logs. You've got to be able to vary your pressure from the bottom to the top, top to the bottom, as you go from small wood into bigger wood. Calvin Willard is an expert operator.
Calvin Willard's official time 11.73 to take the lead in stock saw. Matthew Bolton coming in at 12.60. So Willard ahead of David Green by about 0.2 of a second.
Next heat of the stock saw, Matt Koger and Nate Hodges. East Coast, West Coast showdown. Matt Koger coming out of Grafton, West Virginia. Nate Hodges, North Fork, California. They are fast. Matt Koger's best time is a 10.89 in this stock saw.
Warm up your saws. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Koger sitting in second place.
Nate Hodges on the right.
That both operators clean to the block. Both of these guys consistent together. And you see a little look over there from Matt Koger, making sure he's got a good run. Synchronized cutting. Wow.
This will be a video review. Again, we're shooting at 120 frames per second. They're not sure who won. I couldn't pick it. Matt Koger fast on the exchange, but he went in a little crooked
Matt Koger winning
on that
heat, but
upcut by
that
the
is
time he
a close
straightened
one
that
to
out.
call. We got to see how those times sort out.
Pick up some time. We'll be looking forward to this review.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Matt, there's speed and then there's controlled speed. Tell us how difficult it is to get that saw into the wood as fast as possible, but then keep it under control.
I don't think I can say it any more perfectly. It's just like it's a little bit chaotic in the mind when you got to really focus in on what you're trying to do. But yeah, you have to get it there as fast as you can. But then I don't know, I guess you can call it in stages. You just take it from one step to the next and just kind of, okay, I got to the wood right, okay, so I'm set, follow it through, come up to the next cut, and then like look at the time and hope you're good.
Very close race, but we're going to wait on the results. Good job.
Thank you.
What a great heat between these two competitors. Let's watch the run from Matt Koger here. What a great start. First disc. Look at how consistent that is. It's like he's got a laser-guided plumb bob on that saw. A little tiny bit of bobble at the bottom as he's getting the saw started on that second cut. But again, a really nice, clean, thin, consistent second cut.
Official time of 11.07 for the 6-time national champ, Matt Coger. He's going to take over our lead in stock saw, not far behind. Just a little bit behind Nate Hodges with an 11.20. Our overall standings, of course, these are just transitional right here. We have 2 more heats left to go here in the stock saw, but right now it's Matt Coger and Hodges, just as the top of the leaderboard in stock saw appears right now. They are 1 and 2 with 23 and 21 points, respectively. We're still on our way to the top qualifiers in the stock saw, so that may well change, or it may not. We will track it for you as we get into the next heat.
4th heat of the stock saw. Give it up for Ben Nicely and Arden Coger Jr. Arden Jr. fastest time has been an 11.12. They are searching for sub 11 seconds to take down that leading time of Matt Coger.
Warm up your saws. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ben Nicely on the left, Arden Coger Jr. on the right.
Arden Coger Jr. with his hand down, kind of studying that saw. Competitors do have to get 8 fingers, thumbs don't count, 8 fingers across that line at the top. Another just absolutely smasher heat between 2 exceptional operators. We're right around that 11-8 for both of these competitors.
It looked like both competitors went just slightly off plumb. Matt Coger unofficially holding the lead right now. It's just over 11 seconds. We'll see who won this heat.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Great cut. It looked like you were a little crooked on the first cut. Do you feel like you lost some ground there, or from your ear-eye perspective, were you all good?
Frankly, I got 2 cuts on the deck. That's good enough for me, Dave. Good enough.
What's your mentality saying that?
My mentality is like, yahoo, let's keep on going. Let's keep going.
All right, 4 events to go. It's standing block chop. I know it's one of your favorites coming up.
Oh, yeah. The standing block for me is just let the mind kind of go blank and let the body take over. So I love those events. Thinking take too much with these chainsaws, and so I love it when the body can just take over.
Thanks, sir.
You betcha.
Well, both these competitors wound up with nearly identical times, but they may not have gotten there the same way. You there's lots of opportunities to gain and lose through here. You see nicely ahead at the switch, but gets a bit of a crooked start, has to steer himself back in, and it looks like Arden Koger Jr. just able to edge him out at the end.
Such a close competition. Arden Koger Jr. still waiting for his official time, unofficially 11.79, just a touch over 1/10 of a second faster, again, unofficially, than Ben Nicely. And there our numbers are official right now, and Arden Koger Jr. with 11.62 wins the heat and locks into third place for now.
Final heat of the stock saw Aaron Hovis and Zach Brous. Both competitors still chasing that 11-second time of Matt Koger.
Warm up your saws. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
There you see Brous also kind of studying that saw, gets his hands up in time. Very tight times, very tight races, but right now it's Aaron Hovis running away with it.
His first year in the Timbersports semifinal, and Hovis has made a beauty cut. He's going to be looking to chase down that second or third place spot right now, but a heck of a cut on stand number 1.
Both cuts are good.
Aaron, great cut in the stock saw. Your first year in the semifinals. How are you enjoying yourself up here? And tell us about that cut.
Oh, I love it. Every second I get to cut wood, I'm loving it. No, David Moses helped me a lot with my stock saw because he come out to the house and trained with me for about a week. And before that, my stock saw game was terrible. And he give me a few of them little pointers that makes a world of difference. And now I'm cutting much, much better. So
does it help you out having some loud fans in the crowd today?
Absolutely, it sure does.
Take another look at that heat. Aaron Hovis obviously very quick to the block and very quick through the wood. He edges out Brous at the bottom of this cut and then just pulls away on this upcut, shifting a massive amount of wood with that MS 661. Great look at that first cut, nice thin cut. We say all the time around here, thin to win. The reason behind it, there's less pressure on this rivets, the side plates of that chain. If you get a nice thin cut, it can kind of deflect and flex away as opposed to pinching the side of that chain.
And Aaron Hovis' official time now 11.46. Good job, gets in some good points as he lands in third place. 1 and 2, the Matthew Koger and Nate Hodges. the top performers in the stock saw. Now we can check on our overall points, our steel points, very, very critical. You have to be in the top 6 if you want to pass on to the big finale, the finals of the U.S. Championship. And at the top of that list is going to be, let's see, it's going to be apparently, well, we got Matt Koger on top, Nate Hodges. Right behind him, Cassidy Shear in second place. We are just getting started. 2 disciplines under our belt here. The underhand chop and the stock saw have been completed. Our leader, the 6-time U.S. champion, Matthew Koger, at this point, but so much more left to come on this day. The standing block chop. The axes will come out when we come back.
STIHL, the name you love and trust, is at acehardware.com. From chainsaws to edgers, trimmers to blowers, Ace has the STIHL equipment you need. Just pick your power. From gas to battery, STIHL has you covered at acehardware.com.
Duluth Trading Company was born from generations who showed us that the only way to live life is to live it hands-on.
To do it the hard way. To take the trail untrodden. To take the damn thing apart, put it back together, and have the world be better for it.
We don't think that the go all in, dig deep, and get your hands dirty spirit exists in everybody.
We know it does. Duluth Trading. Take on life with your own 2 hands.
Just 3 words tell you everything you need to know. They tell you why we employ more than 2,000 workers at our factory in Virginia Beach, and why over 10,000 local steel dealers are putting battery power in the hands of Americans. Not everyone can say that, but we can. Made in America. Real steel. Find yours.
Let's roll, let's go.
When we work in harmony, anything is possible.
Coming up next, our second chopping event of the day. Take a look.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 30 centimeters has to be cut through both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
Once again, if you want to see this job done right, we saw him in the underhand. Now we're going to watch him in the standing block. Here is Matt Koger powering his way through. Well, there's Jason Wynyard on the near side. Matt Koger on the far side powering his way through a standing block chop. This is an official world record event. Blistered split the thing in half on the top and finally went back and drove off that last bit. Look at that time from Matt Koger.
Absolute magic moment there. What magic moments are we looking forward to here in our version of the standing block? In Pool A, we got heats coming up between Hodges and Koger, Shear and Nicely, Arden Koger and David Green, Willard and Browse, and Dave, we're ready for heat number 1.
First heat of the standing block, Aaron Hovis and Matt Bolton.
Athletes
Aaron
ready.
Hovis.
Stand to your timber.
Hovis on 1.
3, 2, 1, go!
Matt Bolton on 2.
Wow, Matt Bolton very tight on the go. He's got something to prove. A very tough break in both the underhand and the stock saw, and he is looking to make a statement in this standing block chop. Aaron Hovis, though, coming off a great stock saw run, is still looking to post a good time and grab as many points as possible. Things got a little out of hand for Matt Bolton, but a 17-second cut, not terrible. Matt Bolton was signaling for the flag to be thrown, and Rich Hallett obliged him.
It is a disqualification.
I believe they're going to be going to look to see if he was tight on the go.
But what a race, the absolute aggression of Matt Bolton. But Aaron Hovis, his first year in the semis, only 2 hits behind.
All right, gentlemen, after reviewing the start, I determined that both cuts are good.
I'll tell you what, that's a sigh of relief right there. Yeah, tell us what was going on with the head judge's decision up there.
Well, I mean, we're always trying to be as close as that go as we can. And even after I got done chopping, I looked right at Rich. I'm like, throw the flag, because even I thought it was just a hair in front. But came out to be good. After I had some trouble in the underhand and sock saw, I hit the chain brake. So I came out and said, you know what? I'm just going to throw 7 in the front, see what happens, and go from there.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Here's another look down the stage at that run. Watch Matt Bolton open this up 2 and 2, and then gets that far corner cleared out. One driver, he kind of inched up a little bit high. That's going to come back to bite him a little bit as this block starts to tear apart. We couldn't hear or see the go signal there, but we all saw it. He knew it as well. He was really tight on that go, but you got to push that envelope. If you're going to win or lose by 1/10 of a second, you don't want to be because you held back on the start.
Absolutely. He thought he was too close to the go, but that was not the case. Matt Bolton's official time, a 12.60.
Now Matt Bolton takes a look at that block, shakes his head a little bit, and then watch this right here. He knows it. He knows it's close. He's going to look over at Rich and go, yeah, Rich, drop the flag.
Zach Brow's official time, 12.82. Oh, excuse me. Aaron Hope's official time, 21.29.
Second heat of the standing block, Zach Browse and Calvin Willard.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Calvin Willard drawn back and ready to go. He saw that move by Matt Bolton. He's going to make sure he's right on the go as well. Oh wow, Calvin Willard draws the whole half of the block off, as does Zach Browse. There is just pieces and parts falling everywhere. Willard, though, looking to drive. It's going to be, it is going to be Willard. I thought Browse had him. The top of that block was tipping over.
Both competitors pinched up. When those logs split like that, it's just absorbing the energy.
Assistant head judge Nate Waterfield says he thinks both cuts are good. Calvin doesn't seem too bothered. Calvin turning ahead and Browse just catching up.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Calvin, you're such a technician in this sport. You've got 2 axes. One is a spare axe. You show up to the tournament with probably $5,000 worth of axes. How do you choose which one you're going to use?
Well, it's always a guessing game. In this instance, I tried one axe in the first event, didn't cut that well, so trying something different.
Good cut in the standing block in the front. What do you feel like you could have done better in the back?
I was a little flat in the back. If I had a little more slope, I should have been able to take it off a couple quicker.
Thanks, Calvin.
Yep, thank you.
We're taking a look at this instant replay here. Watch Calvin Willard on the backside here. He has to jump out of the way as the whole front face of the top part of that block falls to the stage. Zach Browse in a similar situation down there. Willard does a beautiful job just raking down from the sky and just severing those fibers. Presentation of axe to block is everything in this sport.
Calvin Willard official time a 19.25, very tight race. Aaron Ho is 21.29, and I want to read the other two as well since I reverted to the wrong page for the last heat. So Matt Bolton in second place with a 19.36 and Zach Browse in third with a 19.57.
Third heat of the standing block chop, Arden Koger Jr. and David Green. David Green coming all the way from Bend, Oregon. And out of Webster Springs, West Virginia, famous Arden Koger Jr.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
The veteran Arden Koger Jr. on stand number 1. From the West Coast, David Green on stand 2.
Arden Koger Jr., a bit of a hang-up, but Green not wasting any time, gets around to the back. Green, an avid golfer. Wow, just a real tough, sticky block on the back for Green. There it is, Arden Koger Jr. is gonna take it off. David Green, though, all kinds of problems on the backside of that block. I was just dumbfounded watching that axe stick almost every single hit.
Green 7 in the front, but both athletes losing the penetration of the axe on the far hit.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Boy, just a crazy race. You've had the experience. You've won this event so many times. Talk about situational awareness. You're chasing steel points. You know David Green is driving. What's going through your head?
Oh, jeez. With that log, you just cut it. All the fibers were there. You got to make sure that you put the axe on the wood in the right place. And the little tappy taps at the end, which my wife will not approve, it got it off. It got it off.
All right, thanks again for a great interview, Arden.
Thank you.
Well, here's a look, and watch Arden Koger Jr. open this up. He opens 1 and 1, and then you start chasing those corners, those points of timber just sticking out there, begging to be cut. Step down a little bit on the backside, which leaves him a bunch of far wood, now near wood as he comes around the backside of this log. That's a fine place to have it. He'll cut it off here, but you got to go past the center point, and there again, you see it. There's that little tap hit. He had to go back and pick up that wood that probably should have gotten knocked off on the front side of the block.
Arden Koger Jr., what an Ironman in his 27th trip to these U.S. championships, and he's got an official time of 20.08, has him in 4th place in standing block. David Green, a time of 24.43 officially.
Fourth heat of the standing block, Chop Cassidy Shear versus Ben Nicely. Cassidy Shear coming all the way from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He's won the national title overall before. Ben Nicely, his 3rd year in the Timber Sports semifinals, looking to make another trip to the finals.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Former U.S. champ
Cassidy Shear, win in the underhand. Love to follow that up with a win in the standing block. Take down both chops. Very clean front face. He is around and ahead, probably 3 or 4 blows ahead of Ben Nicely. Wow! Coming out around 17 flat. A very clean, cerebral cut for Cassidy Shear.
Won the underhand, looking to go 2 for 2 in the standing block chop.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Cassidy, you won the underhand chop. You had taken the lead in the standing block. You train by yourself so much, but you use the word biomechanics. You study biomechanics to teach yourself how to swing an axe that works for you.
Yeah, no, I've always been a believer that good mechanics, good form will do more than the gym work. You combine good form with a lot of physicality, and you can really bring a lot of power. That was a good cut, a lot of little tiny mistakes, but nothing serious. I'm happy with that time. We'll see how it holds up. Looking forward to the single buck.
All right, Cassidy, good luck.
Thank you.
So speaking of mechanics, here he is working under the hood on this standing block. He's got all the parts and pieces moving in the right direction. Axe presentation of the block. We get a great look at this coming around the backside. Goes, it could have gone a little bit farther away from him. You see it sets up a bit of a wall of wood, but it didn't matter. He got it done on the top 2 drivers, cleaned the top of that block off.
Cassidy Shear coming into form, or well into form as we arrive here in North Little Rock, Arkansas for these championships. Great effort in the underhand chop, and look at this one. Official time of 16.62 in the standing block. So the 2019 U.S. champion, chopping well in Pool A. Calvin Willard holding on, second place there. Matt Bolton as well. One more heat remains. A couple of big names in the sport coming up in that one. They will get started momentarily here.
standing block, Nate Hodges and Matthew Koger.
Nate Hodges was the runner-up in these championships in 2019. Of course, Matt Koger, six-time U.S. champion from West Virginia.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, Tommy, the bar just shifted in that last heat. Cassidy Shear pulling ahead by over 2.5 seconds. Both these guys, same strategy, same hit pattern, and they're around the back. Nate Hodges is just peppering the hits in a little faster. Matt Koger getting it done just a little bit quicker, though, in the end. Look at these times coming in around 15 seconds.
So a great cut by Hodges, staying right with the six-time champion. Matt just observing that slope, looking at his hit placement. Absolutely dead on. You could put a ruler on that cut right now.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Matt, there seems to be groups of competitors that hope to win, the competitors that expect to win. You came out with this look on your face with this, I know I will win this event, and you've done it.
You know, I think it's just a little bit of warm-up time, so it's like, okay, now we're back in the groove. Let's just do this. And I was seeing a good cut from Cassidy and knowing that Nate's going to be right there too. So I was just like, well, let's layer down and see what we can do.
Great job, Matt.
Thank you.
Yeah, ditto that. Great job, Matt. Watch this come apart here as, again, once you see these competitors chase these corners, you heard Dave Jewett talk about laying a ruler across that chopping face. Each hit chasing the last in beautifully. That's a much more efficient way to take a block apart without having to recut wood each time. You save yourself just a fraction of an inch on every single hit. Here's a look at Nate Hodges, also a very clean front face. You see those up drivers, how they've just penetrated a little bit further into the heart of that block, and there he is driving it off. That fracture coming right down along the grain. He knows it's so close when you're chasing a six-time champion.
Score is official now, and it is Matt Koger, a 14.66 to be the top man in the standing block chop. Nate Hodges, a 15.13. Behind them, Cassidy Shear, Calvin Willard, and Matthew Bolton. Zachary Browse rounding out our top six in our third discipline of the day. We're only halfway through this Pool A qualifying. Only the top six will move on after we are done today. Be right back.
Duluth Trading Company was born from generations who showed us that the only way to live life is to live it hands-on.
To do it the hard way. To take the trail untrodden. To take the damn thing apart, put it back together, and have the world be better for it.
We don't think that the go all in, dig deep, and get your hands dirty spirit exists in everybody.
We know it does. Duluth Trading. Take on life with your own two hands.
Let's roll, let's go.
When we work in harmony, anything is possible.
STIHL, the name you love and trust, is at acehardware.com. From chainsaws to edgers, trimmers to blowers, Ace has the STIHL equipment you need. Just pick your power. From gas to battery, STIHL has you covered at acehardware.com.
Less work time, more you time. Count on STIHL to take you there. Not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Real STIHL. Find yours at over 10,000 local STIHL dealers.
STIHL Timbersports U.S. Championships 2022. 20 athletes have qualified to come here to North Little Rock, Arkansas. They have been split into two pools for the semifinal round. We are looking at Pool A action right now, and after 3 of our disciplines halfway through this competition here, we'll take a look at the overall standings, and right there, Matt Coger on top with 35 points. Nate Hodges in second place with 32. Cassidy Shear, 27. Arden Coger Jr., 23. Cal Willard, 22. Zach Browse and Ben Nicely tied 19. And in 8th place is Aaron Hovis with 18 points. Unfortunately, in this point in the proceedings, the way it works is we have to lose the bottom 2 here as we progress forward. Of course, we're looking to have 6 standing at the end of the day. So we say goodbye to Matt Bolton, David Green. Congratulate them for making it here to championship week for sure. 2 great performers and just falling a little short after the first 3 disciplines.
Here we go, coming into the 4th event. It is called the Misery Whip or the Single Buck. So take a look for a better idea of what you're about to witness.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types: cutters and rakers, just like on the old school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
Our 8 are ready to go in the single buck. We'll have matches between Nate Hodges, Matt Coger, Arden Coger Jr., and Cassidy Shear, Zach Browse, and Calvin Willard. And Dave, we are ready for heat number 1.
Heat number 1 of the single buck, Aaron Hovis and Ben Nicely. So I got word they're putting on their shoes and spikes back there. So we'll do that in a second. It's being broadcast live feed, so we get the opportunity to do that again. So right now there is a lot of preparation in the single buck. Footwear especially, it drives me crazy. Yeah, if they're gonna let me talk, I'm gonna talk about it. Drives me crazy when you see some of the competitors that come out and they have flat-soled shoes. The whole event is you're anchored to the ground, so these competitors are gonna drive off their front and their back feet. So they're back there. Some of them will be putting spikes on. They'll be anchored into this carpet. Plus they have to get their handles on these saws. These saws are starting at $3,000 nowadays. So they'll put a little oil on them. Back in the day when I was competing, you were allowed to spray oil, but somebody like me would have my wedger empty an entire bottle of oil onto the saw, and it would create for hazardous conditions. So it was a great idea to say, hey, competitors, oil your saws out back. Let them be lubricated when they come up for the cut. Here we go right now. We're gonna let the helpers bring their saws out. Then we'll do a proper introduction to these competitors. And one of the competitors that's coming out It's his first year. It's his first time making the semifinals, and now he is advanced into the next round. As Tommy explained, we lost 2 competitors after the first 3 events, and one of these competitors I'm quietly rooting for is still alive with 3 events to go, and we'll talk about him in just a moment.
Well, it's all about the overall lead, your cumulative points total over all 6 disciplines, 3 disciplines in the book right now, and that's the way it stands. You're trying to be in the top 6 by the end of the day. We got Matt Koger, Nate Hodges, Cassidy Shear, Arden Koger Jr., Calvin Willard, Zach Browse, Ben Nisley, and Aaron Hovis hanging in there. We have 2 more events, and then we will lose, unfortunately, 2 more, so that we have 6 from Pool A who will go to the championship round, which is coming up.
Here are the rules for the STIHL Timbersports World Championships. 6 disciplines, 3 chopping events and 3 sawing events. It's all about the accumulation of points from all 6 disciplines, so these top guys really can't afford to make any mistakes whatsoever.
In the first round, each athlete competes in 3 disciplines. The fastest gets 12 points, the second 11, the third 10, and so on. The points earned in all 3 disciplines are then added up.
It all starts off with the underhand chop.
The underhand chop was formerly used to cut up logs lying on the ground. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be chopped from both sides.
Braden Meyer has held the world record for the underhand chop since 2015.
So the second discipline is the STIHL stock saw.
In this discipline, athletes have to cut 2 discs known as cookies off a log in the fastest time. The first cut is made downward and the second upward. The athletes use a standard off-the-shelf saw.
In 2018, Christophe Leroux surprised everyone at the French Championship with a new world record in the stock saw.
So then we move on to the standing block chop.
The goal here is to chop through a standing wood block 30 centimeters in diameter from both sides. This simulates traditional tree felling. It's man versus tree.
At the World Championship in Liverpool in 2018, Matt Koger achieved a fabled world record in the standing block chop.
So once the first 3 disciplines are over and done with, and unfortunately we've lost the 4 slower athletes, we then move on to our next round of 2. But it now goes on to double points for these 2 disciplines. So now we talk about the single buck.
The single buck is a one-man pull saw 2 meters in length. The athlete uses the saw to cut a complete disc off a wood block 46 centimeters in diameter. Rhythm and power is key.
Jason Wynyard set the world record in the single buck discipline at the 2007 U.S. Championship, using aids still permitted back then, a wedge and spray. These aids have been banned since the 2019 World Championships. The best result under the new rules comes from the Canadian Ben Cumberland.
So we move on to the springboard.
Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete climbs up to chop through a block of wood in the fastest time from there.
Canadian Sterling Hart has held the world record in the springboard discipline since 2016 with an unbelievable time of 35.67 seconds.
But this time, instead of losing 4 athletes, we actually just lose the 2. That will leave us 6 to move on to our final round, which is the hot saw. But now it's triple points. It gives everybody an opportunity. If they've made a couple of mistakes, you know what? I could just sneak back in and steal the crown.
Hot saw is the final discipline. It's all about the perfect melding of man and machine. These saws weigh almost 30 kilograms with 60 horsepower or more. The competitor has to cut 3 cookies off a log as fast as he can. The athlete who has earned the most points in the end is the STIHL Timbersports World Champion.
The German timber sports legend, Dirk Braun, has held the record in this King of Disciplines since 2016. His amazing time remains unbeaten to this day.
STIHL, the name you love and trust, is at acehardware.com. From chainsaws to edgers, trimmers to blowers, Ace has the STIHL equipment you need. Just pick your power. From gas to battery, STIHL has you covered at acehardware.com.
Just 3 words tell you everything you need to know. They tell you why we employ more than 2,000 workers at our factory in Virginia Beach, and why over 10,000 local steel dealers are putting battery power in the hands of Americans. Not everyone can say that, but we can. Made in America. Real steel. Find yours.
Duluth Trading Company was born from generations who showed us that the only way to live life is to live it hands-on.
To do it the hard way. To take the trail untrodden. To take the damn thing apart, put it back together, and have the world be better for it.
We don't think that the go all in, dig deep, and get your hands dirty spirit exists in everybody.
We know it does. Duluth Trading. Take on life with your own 2 hands.
Let's roll, let's go.
When we work in harmony, anything is possible.
Yeah, let's give it up for Mark Boquin.
You'll see Mark Boquin in Pool B. He is the fastest single bucker in the country right now.
First heat of the single buck. Give it up for Aaron Hovis and Ben Nicely.
Aaron Hovis, again, his first trip into the steel semifinal round, and he is still cranking. Made it past that first cut with a good single buck and a good springboard. He wants to make it to the final round tomorrow. $46 centimeters of wood. You're looking at least $6,000 worth of saw on the stage right now. 10-inch starter cut for safety. Make sure they make a straight cut, and we'll let them go.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
There's the look of Aaron Hovis' determination, but a hang up at the top. We've just gotten rid of 2 competitors at the bottom of the heap. Exceptional athletes, but they didn't make the cut. Aaron Hovis just barely in his first year in the semifinals. Ben Nicely says, not waiting around for you. 15-13 for Ben Nicely. That is an exceptional run for Ben Nicely.
Competitors laying down the time to be just over 15 seconds.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
We're going to see if we can get a quick interview with Ben Nicely. Ben, tell us about that cut.
It felt pretty good. Single buck's not my best event. Felt like I was pulling the saw and pushing it all the way through. It was smooth. You know?
Tell us about the lower half, the bottom third of the cut where you're getting into smaller and smaller wood, just holding that 15-pound saw. How difficult is it to control $3,000 of, hey, I want to make it to the final saw?
Without the wedger up there, you know, the saw, it tends to get a little pinched. So it gets a little tighter at the bottom. You just kind of power your way through it.
Thanks, Ben.
Appreciate it.
There's Ben Nicely, stand number 2. You heard him mention without the wedge. Well, previously in Steel Timber Sports, you had a person out there who was applying a wedge to open that disc to take the pressure off. Right now, it's like brakes on a rotor pushing in on the sides of that saw. So it's a different experience for these athletes, and they're adapting very well. Beautiful look here at the precision tuning that goes into these saws and how they discharge debris. You can see those gullets, the open space in that saw, coiling up and storing all that debris until it can discharge once it's out of the cut.
Well, Ben Nicely adapting the best of the two in that heat right there. His official time of 14.94. Aaron Hovis in 17.56. Heat 1.
E2 with a single buck. Give it up for Zach Browse and Calvin Willard. Calvin Willard taking third in the standing block. Getting some huge steel points out of that last event. And he's looking to keep that momentum going right into the single buck. Zach Browse, so extremely powerful. See two different saws here. Zach Browse, that saw, it's about a 9-inch deep plate, extremely heavy. He's going to use the weight of that saw to power his way through the wood. Calvin Willard saws a little less, and Calvin basically saying, I don't need the weight of the saw, I can do it all on my own and use the advantage of a lighter saw to pick up speed.
Zach Browse on the left there. Stand number 1, stand number 2,
ready.
Calvin Willard.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Different saws, different techniques. Watch Calvin Willard on stand number 2. Watch him draw the nose of that saw all the way back in. Zach Browse, though, has a much heavier, more aggressive saw, not necessarily running it as completely, and you can see it hanging up when he gets into the bottom of the wood. You've got a tremendous amount of weight sitting on a very small amount of wood, and it is very easy to hang a tooth, hang a raker. Calvin Willard doing a great technical, oh boy. Well, I was saying he did a great technical cut. I think they're gonna go back and look at the start off the go. This may not be bad.
No, not necessarily.
It was close. They're gonna go back and review it. Calvin Willard showing about a 15-second run. I'd hate to see him lose that. But all we can do now is wait.
You lose the time and you lose the time.
Referee Rich Hallett has viewed the tape and ready to make his pronouncement.
Gentlemen, after reviewing the start, I've determined that both cuts are good.
A little sigh of relief there from Calvin Willard.
Flirting with the go, but he's good. Jackie had a slight hang in the bottom third of that log. Tell us what happened.
Well, the top of the wood has a little bit of hardness to it. It's a little stiffer up there. So the saw was skating off the top. It it really wasn't digging in, and it got softer as the wood, you know, as the log went further down, and I was trying to heel too much and just kept, you know, hanging. I was just trying to rush it. Should have just taken long, smooth strokes instead of trying to go fast, and probably would have panned out better for me.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, Dave.
Here's a look at these two cuts side by side. Zach Brous in the near ground, Calvin Willard in the background. You heard Zach himself say, you know, I should have just calmed down, run the whole saw, and that's exactly what Calvin Willard did in the back. You can see the nose of Calvin Willard's saw disappear completely into the kerf, using every available tooth, taking advantage of that radius, that belly in that saw. A very nice technical cut from Calvin Willard. Beautiful shot there from the side. Watch that entire thing disappear. You see just a little bit of lift on the back as he transitions weight to the nose of the saw and drives into that cut.
Good effort for Calvin Willard. 14.88 is his official time. Puts him up in first place. For Zach Brous, a 17.52 officially.
Next heat of the single buck. Big round of applause for Arden Koger Jr. and Cassidy Shear.
Well, it looks like they brought a Lincoln Log kit to the stage. We were just talking about this with another competitor. Competitors have a very limited amount of time to get their footing set up. So Cassidy Shear, being a very cerebral competitor, said, well, I'm going to set it up so that everything is all ready. All I need to do is come out and set one reference point, and I can put down this contraption and have everything in place ready to go. Previously, you'd come out with a tape measure, you'd mark a distance back from the log, have your front foot, then mark a distance from your front foot to your back foot. It's a lot of measuring, a lot of messing around. TimberSports said, get a move on, like get it going. And this is Cassidy Shear's solution.
Sort of like the equivalent of a jig in a wood shop, right? I mean, pretty much.
Yeah, he's inserting himself into the jig right now. Arden Koger Jr., a little bit different approach, but using a fixed ruler, so he doesn't have to roll out a tape measure. You also see some of these competitors coming out with levels, magnetic levels, to make sure the saw is plumb.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Arden Koger Jr., a very flat sawyer typically. Cassidy Shear, another one who is a great technician, throws his entire body into that. Watch him try to pull away. There it is. I say, watch Arden Koger try to pull away at the bottom by sheer horsepower through the bottom of that log.
Opening up, and Arden Koger, one of the best single buckers in the world. He's owned the national record before, and just fighting for every steel point he can get to claw his way in to the final round.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Heck of a cut, Arden. Tell us what it's like, foot placement and being anchored into the ground. I see you're wearing spikes on, keeping them sharp.
Oh, well, I'm kind of extra short, and so I'm not overweight, I'm under tall. And so as a result, I have to use these big old legs in order to actually push the saw and put weight to get the saw to go back and forth as effectively as possible, because I don't have a long stroke compared to the other guys. And so I don't use as many teeth. And the teeth that I use, well, they're grinding, and they're grinding hard. And so I have to have a good foundation in order to get the saw to work.
Thanks, Arden.
You betcha.
Here's a look at the different strategies from Arden Koger Jr. Those metal caulks that are in the bottom of his shoes, you can't see them, but I'm telling you right now, that nails you down to the stage. And you can compare that. He mentioned how he doesn't use as many teeth as Cassidy Shear, so he's got to get more out of the teeth that he's putting into the wood, and he absolutely is. You can see the gullets just absolutely loaded up on that saw when they're coming out on this near side. In the middle of that block, some of them are actually holding onto the noodles a little too long, and you can see a full gullet, multiple full gullets getting drawn back into the block. Here's Cassidy Shear on stand number 2. Beautiful shot of those gullets, discharging all that debris, coming out cleanly, going back into the block, ready for another mouthful.
Fourth and final heat of the single buck. Big round of applause for Nate Hodges and Matthew Koger. Matt Koger coming off a big win in the standing block chop. He's owned the national record in this single buck. Looking for a good cut to get into that next round of the hot saw. Nate Hodges very level on his start, as is Matt Koger. Again, doing just what Cassidy Shear did, trying to use all of the teeth on the saw.
Time to beat a 13-17 by Arden Koger Jr. Grinding away a good day so far for him. On the left, that is going to be Nate Hodges going up against Matt Koger.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
We talk about how some of the competitors start with a very flat stroke. Nate Hodges is actually nose up on his saw. Footing problems though for Nate Hodges. I was watching his foot blocks as he came out on the stage. Oh, and a broken cookie for Matt Koger. I'm about to say, Nate Hodges was just about down on his knees. We talk about footing so much that Hodges had a system with carpet, blocks of wood, and it just wasn't panning out. His feet were in line, and that block just kicked to the side. I thought he was going to go down on his knees. Over on stand number 2, though, Matt Koger got to the bottom of that cut, busted the cookie off. Looks like he got everything off of there. The cuttable wood was sticking out of the bottom of that block. He picks the saw back up, went back and finished the cut.
We saw no flag.
All right, gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, Matt says, it happens. What happened?
I just got to the bottom, and I think maybe just a little bit of the hand grip really torqued the handle, moved that little thin disc away, and that's where it popped away. And then you have that little bit of wood there, you have to cut to make a complete disc. And just I had the frame of mind that, okay, that's not complete. Just stay there and push the saw against it, finish it off.
But you're absolutely right. Tight grip tends to manipulate the saw, bend it. Every time I coach competitors, I tell them, loosen up your grip. Well, you'll make some adjustments for the final round?
Oh, yeah. No, it's like just the slightest grip changes the blade of the saw altogether. So, but yeah, I'll make the changes.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Here's the look at that run from Matt Koger. Of course, all attention was on the bottom of that cut. Pulls off an exceptional time despite the bobble here. Still just, there it is right there. A little bit of twist and got a little push on it. The best part about that was that the saw didn't actually skip off that piece at the bottom of the log. One of the scariest things I hated anytime it happens is when that saw completely skips off that piece and you see the competitor have to stick their fingers in the gullet and pick the saw back up. It's just a horrible situation. I never like to see that. Great that fortunately sat there. He could regroup, get some sideways pressure on it, and finish the cut.
Did get it finished, get an official time of 13.92, which has Matt Koger running in second to his Veteran cousin Arden Koger Jr. Arden Koger still on top with a 13.17. Nate Hodges' time in that one officially 15.80. Let's take a look at our overall points now. After this next discipline, we're going to lose 2 more competitors and reach our final 6. As it stands right now, it's Matt Koger on top with 49 points, a 10-point lead over Cassidy Shear and also Arden Koger Jr. Good day for Arden. Nate Hodges in 3rd place with 38. Calvin Willard, 32nd place, 32 points, excuse me. Ben Nicely with 27. Zach Browse with 23. Aaron Hovis with 20 points. We are going to have the springboard chop when we come back, so don't go away.
Duluth Trading Company was born from generations who showed us that the only way to live life is to live it hands-on.
To do it the hard way. To take the trail untrodden. To take the damn thing apart, put it back together, and have the world be better for it.
We don't think that the go all in, dig deep, and get your hands dirty spirit exists in everybody.
We know it does. Duluth Trading. Take on life with your own 2 hands.
Let's roll, let's go.
When we work in harmony, anything is possible.
STIHL, the name you love and trust, is at acehardware.com. From chainsaws to edgers, trimmers to blowers, Ace has the STIHL equipment you need. Just pick your power. From gas to battery, STIHL has you covered at acehardware.com.
Big league performance in your backyard with battery power made by STIHL. Our AK home motor system starts at just $199.99. Not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find yours at over 10,000 local STIHL dealers.
Here are the rules for the STIHL Timbersports World Championships. 6 disciplines, 3 chopping events and 3 sawing events. It's all about the accumulation of points from all 6 disciplines, so these top guys really can't afford to make any mistakes whatsoever.
In the first round, each athlete competes in 3 disciplines. The fastest gets 12 points, the second 11, the third 10, and so on. The points earned in all 3 disciplines are then added up.
It all starts off with the underhand chop.
The underhand chop was formerly used to cut up logs lying on the ground. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be chopped from both sides.
Brandon Meyer has held the world record for the underhand chop since 2015.
So the second discipline is the STIHL stock saw.
In this discipline, athletes have to cut 2 discs known as cookies off a log in the fastest time. The first cut is made downward and the second upward. The athletes use a standard off-the-shelf saw.
In 2018, Christophe Leroux surprised everyone at the French Championship with a new world record in the stock saw.
So then we move on to the standing block chop.
The goal here is to chop through a standing wood block 30 centimeters in diameter from both sides. This simulates traditional tree felling. It's man versus tree.
At the World Championship in Liverpool in 2018, Matt Koger achieved a fabled world record in the standing block chop.
So once the first 3 disciplines are over and done with, and unfortunately we've lost the 4 slower athletes, we then move on to our next round of 2. But it now goes on to double points for these 2 disciplines. So now we talk about the single buck.
The single buck is a one-man pull saw 2 meters in length. The athlete uses the saw to cut a complete disc off a wood block 46 centimeters in diameter. Rhythm and power is key.
Jason Wynyard set the world record in the single buck discipline at the 2007 U.S. Championship, using aids still permitted back then, a wedge and spray. These aids have been banned since the 2019 World Championships. The best result under the new rules comes from the Canadian Ben Cumberland.
So we move on to the Springboard.
Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete climbs up to chop through a block of wood in the fastest time from there.
Canadian Sterling Hart has held the world record in the springboard discipline since 2016 with an unbelievable time of 35.67 seconds.
But this time, instead of losing 4 athletes, we actually just lose the 2. That will leave us 6 to move on to our final round, which is the hot saw. But now it's triple points. It gives everybody an opportunity. If they've made a couple of mistakes, you know what? I could just sneak back in and steal the crown.
Hot saw is the final discipline. It's all about the perfect melding of man and machine. These saws weigh almost 30 kilograms with 60 horsepower or more. The competitor has to cut 3 cookies off a log as fast as he can. The athlete who has earned the most points in the end is the STIHL Timbersports World Champion.
The German timber sports legend, Dirk Braun, has held the record in this king of discipline since 2016. His amazing time remains unbeaten to this day.
These custom handmade race-tuned machines are built for maximum power and precision and to cut the wood as fast as possible in a competition. They are built with a 60 to 80 horsepower single-cylinder 2-stroke engine, often taken from a snowmobile or high-powered motorbike. The hot saw can weigh up to 30 kilograms and its chain rotates at over 250 kilometers an hour. The cost of a competition hot saw used in STIHL Timbersports is upwards of €6,000. This is the one and only
individual competition, it is often the hot saw that decides between victory and defeat.
Yeah, probably the most important event, but yeah, also the most frustrating.
These saws are so incredibly powerful and dangerous.
Usually the hot saw is the decider.
Stand to your timber.
Hot saw. Hot saw.
I can't describe to you when we're out there under pressure.
Saw starts well, first disc looks solid. The cut is good.
You know, you're always ending the competition on a hot saw, so you know where you're going to be at when you finish. So you're either at a real big high or just is what it is.
Nice clean cuts, easy and relaxed.
Der Hot Saw ist für mich die geilste Disziplin der Welt.
5, 6, 8, Robert Abner, 3 on the deck. Once the competition comes, anything can happen. Oh no, a false start by Sterling Hart. What a disaster.
Yeah, it was a disappointment for me. Happens though, it's part of competing.
I saw there's 3 good discs there, but then they let that nose come right up underneath the crossover line.
Fortunately, a disqualification.
It all relies on the hot saw.
If you have bad luck or if you did wrong, it's sport. Just
oh my goodness. What an absolute disaster. The chain came off.
I was not disappointed because everybody see that I can be with the guys in front.
Yeah, it's the make or break event, you know.
I think you love and you hate it.
Try to make 3 good cuts and no disqualification.
The hot saw is where it's all one, so that's the best event.
Diana, USA, 6 times U.S. champion, the U.S. record holder in the underhand chop and twice silver medalist in the World Championships.
Hey guys, Matt Koger, 6-time U.S. champion.
What an impressive day for Matt Koger. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Koger.
4-time U.S. champion, Matt Koger!
The 2018 STIHL Timbersports champion, Hurricane Matthew Koger!
Biggest highlight of my career would probably have to be the world record sand block. And gold medal at the Champions Trophy 2019.
Might be a slight advantage for Kogar. Come on, everybody. Matt, the golf first, Underhand. So Kogar gets stuck. O'Toole's going to get through quickly, though. And now, almost dead.
standing block. Looks like it might be Matt Kogar. But a landslide! Matt Kogar wins the Champions Trophy 2019 here in Sweden.
Biggest setback in my career would probably be whenever I injured my hand. I have a small cut on my finger from single buck. Was just torquing on the handle too much. My hand slipped around and caught the back of the saw, not the teeth, and ended up cutting a tendon in my finger. And that was probably the biggest setback, just a little bit mentally. Of course, physically, I had to recover. New things I'm doing now since the COVID-19 has pretty much done in our seasons. Just doing some stuff around the house, doing bathroom remodel, still keeping up with some of the training, because eventually when this thing's over, we're going to have a competition sometime. You know, guys, keep training, keep trying to better yourselves mentally, physically, and miss you guys. We're looking forward to seeing you next time. And also, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best to answer as many of those as I can and try to put you on the right track. So, hope you all stay safe. Love you guys.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27-centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
First heat of the springboard. Big round of applause for Aaron Hovis and Ben Nicely. This is the most difficult event in timber sports, our third and final chopping event of the day. These competitors are fighting to get into the next round of the hot saw. We're going to lose 2 competitors after the springboard.
First heat of the springboard chop is going to feature Aaron Hovis and Ben Nicely. Of course, we're going to lose 2 more athletes after the completion of the springboard chop. Currently, Aaron Hovis is below that cut line. Ben Nicely is right on it in 6th position. Aaron in 8th in overall points as we get to this point in the proceedings with Pool A.
Yeah, Hovis can feel the fire. Nicely can smell the smoke at this point. There's
a good way to put it.
There's only 2 disciplines. Only 2 disciplines to go before we make another cut.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough good stuff about Aaron Hovis. It's so great to see him advance to the semifinals at this young stage.
To your timber.
Make the first cut.
3, 2,
Hopefully he
1,
keeps it going.
go!
And this is where it all is going to come together or fall apart. It is the springboard discipline. Out of all of the events that we have here today, this is the one that has the most stuff to go right and or wrong. Competitors up on that first board set. Looks like a really good pocket. Ben Nicely, maybe a little bit of sag coming into that board, but now it's still holding really well. Nicely, just a shovel full of chips coming out of that second hole. Hovis, great board set, doing everything right in this springboard chop. Got to get back off that board a little bit. I think he doesn't trust that. He's got some room to stretch back out, extend his arms. Nicely, a little bit of sag on that top board.
It's just cutting beautiful, incredibly accurate. Nicely, the look on his face, pure determination by Ben Nicely.
Tough position for Ben Nicely. You can see he's got his left foot, his front foot is really on the clip. We like to say you got your toe in the hole. He is almost touching that pole with his front foot. He's really choked up on the axe. Hovis is around to the back. Beautiful, clean front face from Hovis. Could have done maybe a little more work around that backside. He may have to clear a chip. No, he's not going to have to clear a chip. He found it. Found those fibers on the far side. Aaron Hovis is going to pull off a win in this heat.
Beautiful cut by Aaron Hovis. Nicely sitting on the bubble. He's in the number 6 position. Again, only 6 will move on. So a big concern on Ben Nicely's face right now. We're going to have to wait for 3 more heats of the springboard to see who will advance to that hot zone.
All right, gentlemen, nice job. Both cuts are good.
No time to catch your breath. We got to do another interview. Great cut in the Springboard. It's your first year making it to semifinal round. We're not sure yet if you'll make it to the hot saw. How has the day gone for you?
It's about like most of my shows that I go to. Got highs and lows. You know, the stock saw, I really needed those points and did decent in the standing block. You know, the single buck was kind of rough, so I really needed to get some points in this event, and I know I'm not going to get last place in this, so I'm pretty happy.
I know you bought a brand new hot saw. You're hoping to run it in a few minutes. All we can do is sit back and watch regardless. Congratulations on a great day.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to everybody here, and I hope to see everybody again next year.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Well, let's have another look at this run here. Head to head, you got Hovis on the left and Nicely on the right. Very clean looking pocket, Nicely just a slight bit ahead, but Hovis doing what he's got to do. Put in a good board set so you're in a comfortable working position to do this second board and eventually chop the top block. Another good clean pocket there from Aaron Hovis on your left. Watch him set this board. A little bit of upslope here, but as you get your weight back, it's going to settle right into a beautiful position. There's Aaron Hovis reaching way up over his head, slashing down. You see he spaced those hits out a little bit. That clears that chip out, goes near, goes to the gut, actually goes way far on that one, reaching around, getting those fibers, and eventually on this last blow here, he finds those last bits, breaks a nice amount of wood.
Well, Aaron Hovis' time still unofficial at a 1:19.20. With that holes, and he picks up the win here. That's something he really needed to do. That was a must-do for Aaron, the position he's in right now. Ben Nicely's time is official. Now Aaron Hovis' time, official 1:19.08. So he wins the heat. Ben Nicely in second place with 1:21.79.
Second heat of the Springboard chop, Zach Brous and Calvin Willard.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Heat 2 underway, Zach Brous. Stand number 1, Cal Willard. Calvin Willard on stand number 2. Zach needs a good result here.
Yeah, both of these guys need a good result here.
Yeah.
I mean, Calvin Willard's got a nice point buffer there, but he's still kind of working towards the bottom of that cut line. As long as he has a good safe cut here, he ought to be fine in advance of the hot saw round. Zach Brous, though, as you pointed out, he is currently sitting in that number 8 slot. So he is dangerously close to getting cut and not making it on to the next round. Calvin Willard, I love watching Calvin Willard cut the standing block and the springboard. I love that swing. Reminds me a lot of Canadian competitor CC Star. Reminds me a lot of great axemen who just reach out and rake across the sky and deliver that axe head to the block. Zach Brous also now up on that second board. Great board set from the big guy on stand number 1. He is clearing some timber now, opening up a nice big front face, still getting nice chips to drop out. Willard around the back with some slashing blows. You're going to see him, he's going to draw a chip now. Wow, draws a huge chip out of the backside of that block. Now switches over to a slashing motion, looking for that last fiber, and there it is.
Right around 1 minute 15. Couple more hits from Zach Brous. Zach Brous just caught up. Calvin sent to that tree faster. But Zach Brous with that power driving off the back.
All right, gentlemen, nice job. Both cuts are good.
Calvin, you had a great standing block cut. You took third, the final chopping event in the Springboard. You've unofficially taken over the lead. Talk about the axes again. It looked like you used a smaller axe to cut those pockets and chop that block up top. If so, what's the advantage?
Yeah, typically I think everybody will go to a smaller axe in the tree for a couple reasons. You know, we're swinging them longer than the other events. And for pocketing, which is very important, a smaller axe is usually a little bit easier to get your pocket in.
Thanks, Calvin.
Yep.
Calvin Willard unofficially taking the lead.
I'd love to go back and analyze this one for a good 20 minutes, because if you had told me that Zach Brous was going to reel in Calvin Willard that close at the end, I wouldn't have believed it. What a great comeback for Zach Brous. Ends up not catching Calvin Willard, but really found another gear somewhere along in here. You can see Calvin Willard well into that second pocket, gave him a bit of trouble. That gave Zach a little bit of an advantage to start getting caught up. But here you can see we're around the 30-second mark, and Calvin Willard is putting axe to block. Zach Brous is still working hard on that second pocket. Calvin Willard opening up a nice front face. This is, I guess, where Zach Brous really gets kicked into gear and starts shifting some timber out of the top of this pole. Watch the slabs of wood start falling out as Zach reaches over, starts clearing that firewood back to the near side, and again gets that rotation opened up. Calvin Willard started to slash, cut, and try to sever that block at the top. Realized he still had too much timber on the backside there. Had to go one up hit just to clear that chip. It opens up a window. It's a driving lane just to get you through to that far wood. Had just a tiny fiber hang up, but got it cleared off at the end. There's a beautiful shot of that window, wide open now. That one up hit just allows him to see down in through that cut, find those far fibers and clean it off.
So Calvin Willard's official time of 1:19.73, which means he's done better than two of our competitors in the springboard competition here. That helps his cause some. Aaron Hovis remaining on top with a 1:19.08, and Zach Brous 1:33.09 officially.
Hey, Kevin, I'm just looking at the scoreboard right now. Aaron Hovis is still alive. He's leading the springboard race right now. Do you have a better idea of points from what you see, Kevin? And we keep talking about these points because two of these competitors will be dropped. The hot saw event is coming up next, and you will hear it before you see it. You're going to hear every one of these saws is around $8,000 to $10,000, and they're sitting out back right now. They're going to be warming them up. The top 6 competitors, they'll be moving on. It's just unfortunate. We got 8 springboard cutters right now. Only 6 of them will advance.
Well, Dave, you just mentioned Aaron Hovis, and he did himself a whole lot of good there. That let's see, Aaron Hovis, a 1:19.08, put up a really respectable time. Brand new hot saw for him. Talk about that a little bit, because hot saw is not a discipline you can just jump into cold turkey. It takes some practice, it takes some time, but that price tag is prohibitive. You can't just buy an $8,000 hot saw and go out and run it every day. Not to mention chains. I mean, motors are one thing, but chains on top of that. Aaron wants a shot to run this saw. Is it going to help?
Well, it's a great thing you bring that up. I spoke with Aaron before the competition today exactly about chains. He grinds his own chains, meaning he puts that final edge on the chains. So Aaron, yes, you buy the saw, you buy the chain, but then you have to modify the saw. You have to modify the chain. Aaron knows how to do that. So you kind of, that's why I say I'm secretly cheering for him, because he's taken these chains, he's ground them, and he said, Dave, he said 90% of the time is spent putting 10% of the final edge on the chain.
Absolutely.
Third heat of the springboard. Give it up for Arden Koger Jr. and Cassidy Shear. Cassidy Shear's personal best is 40.26. I actually think it was faster than that. I remember watching him in Milwaukee coming in under 40 seconds. Regardless, Cassidy Shear, he's won the overall national title fueled by his ability to cut a springboard.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Time to beat 1:19.08, put down by Aaron Hovis.
Yeah, and Aaron Hovis is watching this heat very closely. He's going to watch all of these heats very closely. He wants as many of these competitors to finish behind him as possible. Arden Koger Jr., trouble on stand number 1. He has his front foot shoved in that springboard pocket. He is choked up. He is way too close. Now here's Cassidy Shear. He is going full orbital on that block at the top. Watch the swing speed here. He is typically a very good presenter. He gets the axe positioned on that block to cut as efficiently as possible, but he is just in absolute windmill mode right now, not letting that axe rest at all around the black. Here's the big back windmill. There it is, 3 hits in the back. That's about as clean as you're gonna get that off. Arden Coker Jr. working in the front side of this log. Had a hard time getting there. Now that he's there, he's putting in a clean cut. Arden admits quite often that as he gets a little longer in the tooth in this sport, the springboard is one that's really starting to wear on him. It is our longest lasting discipline. More energy over an extended period of time, and he says that one really starts to get to him.
Well, he has had a fantastic day, both chopping and sawing so far, and it's a little bit of a letdown, but understandable. The springboard is a handful, and he gets it off at 133 unofficially.
Well, Cassidy put on the fastest 4-hit bottom pocket in. The 4th hit was an abbreviated hit, not meant to penetrate too much, just to clear that chip. Then he took about 6 hits plus in the top pocket, but it was enough to do the job. Cassidy said that he trains on boards at all the different angles because, quote, they never know what's going to happen.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Cassidy, I've seen you cut amazing springboard times, whether the board is sloping or sometimes even worse if it's tipping up too high. I asked you at a tournament, how do you do that? And you said you actually practice on boards at different angles because you never know what the board's going to do with different trees.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sending it on iffy pockets, you're going to have pockets that are sagging. You'll have pockets that your board is too good. You have to practice cutting on bad pockets. And that was a decent one. A little sloppy cut, but I was moving fast. I can clean that up for tomorrow.
Yeah, I got a suspicion you're going to be in the finals. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I got to agree with Cassidy Shear. Watches, he boards this very cleanly, gets up to the top, but then at the top of the block when he gets up there, it's the classic Cassidy Shear swing that we've seen, that we've come to expect from Cassidy Shear, but it was like version 2.0. It was just slightly faster, maybe a 10% faster swing, and it cost him in terms of the tidiness of the chop. Like, okay, there's no points for neatness here. However, if you're just spraying hits around the front side of that log, you're not going to be landing them correctly, and you may be giving up some penetration. Remember, we're swinging about a hit per second. You can swing a little faster and shave that down to like 0.98 or 0.97, but if it takes you an extra hit along the way, you've given up everything you've gained by swinging faster.
Cassidy Shear official time of 47.56, almost 8 seconds over his listed personal best. He's right at 40 seconds, but good enough to take over the top spot in springboard for Cassidy with 1 heat remaining. For results of our first 3 springboard heats. There is 1, as we say, remaining right there with Cassidy Shear on top. Arden Coger's time officially a 1:33.59, so disappointed with that. It's been a really good day for Arden otherwise. Still looking to hang on to one of the top 6 spots. Only the top 6 will make it to the championship coming up tomorrow. Overalls as they stand now, with still 1 heat remaining left to go. Cassidy Shear on top with 55 points. Remember, the points are doubled in these disciplines 4 and 5. Matt Koger behind that with 49, yet he has not cut yet. Arden Koger Jr. still looking in good shape with 45 after his springboard effort. Cal Willard did himself some good in his springboard chop. Nate Hodges has not cut yet. Ben Nicely, Aaron Hobus, Zach Browse, Matt Bolton, well, David Green, both gone. A little further, too far into that list there.
Final heat of the springboard. Give it up for Nate Hodges and Matt Koger. So much talent on the stage right now. 6-time national champion Matt Koger and the national record holder in the springboard at 37 seconds. Nate Hodges on your left. Watch closely. This could be our fastest heat of the day. Nate Hodges, the swing speed, if he gets up there ahead of Matt, he could potentially win this race. He just hits so fast.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Matt Koger really right on that go, trying to grab every available nanosecond he can. Synchronized board sets, but Hodges is actually up just ahead of him and about 1 hit ahead in that second pocket. Very quick pocket at the top for Nate Hodges. I'm in trouble. Axe comes out of the block as he's trying to get up on top of that second board, just reefing on it a little too much. Matt Koger now has the advantage. Matt Koger with a very clean looking top up here. Nate Hodges getting knocked around a little bit in this top block. I think maybe trying to put a little too much pace into it instead of running his race. Matt Koger around to the back. Not the time to rest on your laurels, because here comes Nate Hodges. Matt Koger, though, is going to come off about 3 hits ahead of Nate.
What a close race between Koger and Cassidy. Who will hold that lead?
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Matt, you know, I said, what do you weigh? You're not a small competitor. You're a big guy, 255 pounds. The thinking used to be that only the smaller competitors could cut 4 hit pockets and that would hold them. You cut 4 and 4 for such a big guy. How did you get the confidence to know that pocket would hold?
Yeah, it's thanks to guys like Adam Lethko working on the boards, getting them ready, and having that good shoe that, you know, once you got a pocket that's got the shelf right, it'll set where it needs to. And just doing it a few times, and that'll raise a little bit of confidence.
Go warm up your hot saw, buddy. You're in it again.
Here we go.
Let's watch this run head to head. Here's Nate Hodges in the foreground. Matt Koger in the background. You see Hodges had that axe set, just didn't quite have enough bite in it, and really kind of reefed on that handle as he was attempting to get up on top of that second board. That little slip up will just rattle your routine. It gets in your head a bit, takes you off your rhythm. Matt Koger putting in a really nice clean cut, chasing those lines in, drawing good chips just like we'd expect him to. And you can see in the background, Nate Hodges just a little sag in that board in the back, sets him up chopping up higher, closer to his chest, out of his comfort zone, and it just, every hit you lose a little bit of power when you're not in your favorite zone.
Well, Nate Hodges' official time of 53.77. Now, Matt Koger had an unofficial, still unofficial, 48.21, so close to that time of Cassidy Shear, 47.55. Whether those two are going to wind up being 1 and 2, it really doesn't matter at this point. They are going to make it to the final here, so 2 great performances there from 2 great springboard cutters. Well, we got 1 more left to go after all the fury of the first 5 disciplines out here today, but boy, the fury really gets started when we come back, crank up the big engines, and roll with the hot saw that is on the way for Pool A action.
Duluth Trading Company was born from generations who showed us that the only way to live life is to live it hands-on.
To do it the hard way. To take the trail untrodden. To take the damn thing apart, put it back together, and have the world be better for it.
We don't think that the go all in, dig deep, and get your hands dirty spirit exists in everybody.
We know it does. Duluth Trading. Take on life with your own 2 hands.
Let's roll, let's go.
When we work in harmony, anything is possible.
STIHL, the name you love and trust, is at acehardware.com. From chainsaws to edgers, trimmers to blowers, Ace has the STIHL equipment you need. Just pick your power from gas to battery. STIHL has you covered at acehardware.com.
Big league performance in your backyard with battery power made by STIHL. Our AK home motor system starts at just $199.99. Not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find yours at over 10,000 local STIHL dealers.
Warm up your saw. Athlete, ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
This is the one and only discipline where the athletes are alone on stage.
Yeah, probably the most important event, but yeah, also the most frustrating.
These saws are so incredibly powerful and dangerous.
Usually the hot saw is the slider.
Timber.
Hot saw, hot saw.
I like I can't describe to you when we're out there under pressure.
Saw starts well, first disc looks solid, cut is good.
You know, you're always ending the competition on a hot saw, so you know where you're going to be at when you finish. So you're either at a real big high or just is what it is.
Nice clean cut, easy, relaxed.
Der Hot Saw ist für mich die geilste Disziplin der Welt.
5, 6, 8, Robert Abner, 3 on the deck.
Hot saw is a love-hate for me. I honestly don't get that much enjoyment out of it. I'm not a motorhead. I swallow my pills and eat it.
Once the competition comes, anything can happen. Oh no, a false start by Sterling Hart. What a disaster.
Yeah, it was a disappointment for me. Happens though, it's part of competing.
I saw there's 3 good discs there, but then let that nose come right up underneath the crossover line.
Fortunately, a disqualification.
It all relies on the hot saw.
If you have bad luck or if you did wrong, it's sport, just your experience.
Oh my goodness, what an absolute disaster. The chain came off.
I was not disappointed because everybody see that I can be with the guys in front.
It was a bit of a disaster, so it was just operator error, and I didn't perform as well as I would have liked to.
Yeah, it's the make or break event, you know.
I think you love it and you hate it.
Weltrekord wollte ich schneiden, das war immer mein Ziel schon seit Jahren. Und das jetzt hier bei der DM zu machen, natürlich so grandios, kann man eigentlich gar nicht besser schreiben, das Buch, und bin natürlich super glücklich.
Try to make 3 good cuts and no disqualification.
The hot saw is where it's all won, so that's the best event.
Custom handmade race-tuned machines are built for maximum power and precision and to cut the wood as fast as possible in a competition. They are built with a 60 to 80 horsepower single-cylinder 2-stroke engine, often taken from a snowmobile or high-powered motorbike. The hot saw can weigh up to 30 kilograms and its chain rotates at over 250 kilometers an hour. The cost of a competition hot saw used in STIHL Timbersports is upward of 6,000 euros. Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification.
Well, you want to get this job done as fast as possible. Jason Lentz is going to show you how. We've always talked about what's the fastest you can possibly go. Can you cut in the 7s? Can you cut in the 6s? Jason Lentz, not too long ago, said, forget about the 5s. I'm going 4.8 on this one. An exceptionally blistering run. And you see Matt Slingland right there mouthing, yeah, that was fast.
Sound you're hearing back there, those saws are, well, Kevin, you might have to help me out. 60 cc's, 300 to 350 horsepower, 200-mile-an-hour chain speed, $10,000 worth of mechanical stuff that you know more than I do about.
Well, you got your numbers and your units a little mixed up, but yeah, you're running right around 60 to 70 horsepower, and all these guys are running machines that are around 300 cc's. You're going to see some Honda CR250 motors that have been bored out to about 300 cc's. Some of these guys are running half of a Rotax 660 motor, so about 330 cc's. But again, they all come in weighing about the same, pushing about the same horsepower, and it really comes down now to operator, tuning, chains, all those little minutia details. Oh, and also not messing up the 10,000 things you've got to keep track of as part of this launch procedure to get these machines going.
We talked about weight of the saw. One of these competitors coming up added carbon fiber to his saw just to reduce the weight a little faster into the wood. We'll talk about him in a moment.
Yeah, I'd add helium balloons to mine if I could. I mean, these things are absolute boat anchors. We're dealing with exceptional athletes, very strong individuals, and watch just as they're carrying these saws out. You probably should have like a stroller or a carriage or something to push them around on.
Final event of the day, it is the hot saw. One more big round of applause for Ben Nicely and Calvin Willard. Watch closely, Calvin Willard on the right side. He has won this event so many times. He has broken records. And he knows he's going to the final. So just watch for him to just unload into this saw when he gets that, into this wood when he gets that saw started.
Warm up your saws. Thirty seconds. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Calvin just running away with it. Oh, the wheels fall off the cart for Calvin Willard on stand number 2. He's going to study that for a second. And he's going to step away from that. I think he is over the line on that third cut. Flag flying on stand number 2 for Calvin Willard.
On that second recovery try, he blew off the 6-inch line. But that's what a lot of competitors do. It is a race mentality. Once that saw goes, you have to go full speed out. Hesitation is dangerous. So Calvin Willard, just a racing
A lot of discussion
mentality.
over on stand number 1 for Ben Nicely.
Well,
also looking
like
at the discs over there. Flag on the ground for Ben Nicely as well.
An unfortunate 2 flags.
Looked like the same issue to me, too.
There's a lot of attention given to Ben Nicely's discs or cookies. So I believe what Nathan Waterfield is looking at is I think there's a flat spot on that one cookie, and they're questioning whether it was a complete cut. So now they're looking at the cut that came before it to see if maybe there was a defect in the log, maybe there was a flat spot on the log.
All right, gentlemen, your cut was good. DQ, cut the line.
Okay, there we have it. 1 out of 2. Calvin Willard just going full send on this. He, you know, now's the time, right? You're in. You're going to advance. Throw it all down. Throw the gauntlet, and that's exactly what he did.
Ben, I don't know what's more difficult, that springboard you just cut. I know you had a bad cut. You were a little worried about points. Now you're into the hot saw. How'd that cut go?
The cut was all right. Hot saw, I mean, you come into this, you're already in the finals, so you're just trying to make a good cut. You know, you're practicing for tomorrow, basically. The cut went all right. In the midst of everything, I forgot my waistband, so my shirt did get sucked into my carburetor a little bit, so that slows you down a little bit. But
Congratulations, 2 years in a row, you're going to make it to the final round. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good right now. Don't get much better.
All right, good job.
Appreciate it.
Well, there's Calvin Willard over on stand number 1. There you see the down cut. The up cut got really thick, And at this point, he came up for that third cut. He hit the line. He went to reset, tried to do it. But again, as soon as you sever that line, even if he was able to correct and go back and make a third cut, no go. As soon as you sever that line, here's Ben Nicely over on, and there's the moment right there. You see the saw the shirt get sucked right into the carburetor. We did a demo last night at a local brewery, and we were talking about that at the demo, and Ben Nicely was at that demo. He should have been paying attention. I don't know what's going on, but he did. He forgot his belly band. You can see it on that upcut. His shirt gets sucked right into the carburetor. There's no air filter. There's no pre-screen, no nothing. So that's like just shoving a rag down the carburetor, cuts off airflow, and the saw fell on its face. Fortunately, he knew it was happening, pulled himself back, the saw away before the motor stalled completely.
Official is Ben's time, 7.13. He will look to at least replicate that tomorrow in the finals round and hopefully do better than that. Just certainly get a time. Calvin Willard cut over the line and a DQ. No points there.
Kevin, these athletes are all making it into the final round, so they are just going for it. Basically, they have to treat this as the finals tomorrow. They have to push themselves to the limit, push their saws, push their chains. And as we were talking about with Matt Koger, there's this going to the limit and not going beyond it and knowing where that line is.
It's a very fine line with these machines, and I say it all the time. There are so many variables with these saws. Anyone who's involved in any type of motorsports anywhere knows that when you have this many custom moving parts all assembled in one place, you're going to have issues. If it's not the operator, it might be the chain, it might be your shirt getting sucked into a carburetor. But when you've got a production machine right off of a proven assembly line, bought it off a store shelf, you know it's going to be a dependable product. These things are the opposite of those in every way imaginable.
Second heat of the hot saw. Let's give it up one more time for Arden Koger Jr. and Nate Hodges.
Ironically enough, Nate Hodges was the subject of our discussion at the demo last night about hot saws, belly bands, getting your shirt sucked into the carburetor. He didn't have his belly band with him last night, tucked his shirt in really well for the demo. Today, coming on stage when it's go time, points time, he's got a large kidney belt wrapped around, making sure that no part of his attire gets sucked into that saw.
Again, as Ben nicely mentioned, these guys are in for the final there. But is it always a good thing to get more cuts in? I mean, better than not cutting on this day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. The stage, the music, the noise, the lights, the travel, you've come all this way.
Warm up
this
your
is the
saws.
ultimate training session.
Thirty seconds. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
View, Hodges to the block just ahead of Koger. Koger was reeling him in, but had to hold up a little bit on that third cut. Doesn't think he's got it. He's going to go back and make a fourth cut. Hard enough to get 3 cuts in that limited amount of timber. He thinks he's going to try to get 4 cuts in there.
Looks like that 6-inch line is remaining. As long as he has 3 complete discs, he's going to get a good time. Nate Hodges, we're going to talk to him in just a moment about this saw he's running. I believe it's the largest engine out here today. Unofficially,
no flags flying. Nathan Waterfield looked over that stack of cookies. At least 3 out of 4 had to be all right. I mean, that's
Nate Hodges just in the wood so quickly. A lot of these competitors are shooting to be in the wood right around 1 second.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Nate, clearly you own more than one hot saw. You brought this one out today. How do you feel it ran?
Well, the motor itself ran good. If you get a chance to watch that on the slow motion, if you watch my backhand on the throttle, I never got the starter rope out of my hand. So I had the starter rope in my hand trying to operate the throttle there, and it was a bit tricky, so I had to kind of tuck up, run it with my leg a little bit. There's some funny stuff going to happen when you see the replay of that video. So, hey, I got 3 on the deck, and that's all that matters. It's fun.
All right, sit back, relax. One more heat you can watch because you're in the finals, buddy.
Right on. Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Well, per Nate Hodges' request, let's watch it. It's hard to see, but yeah, just above his left leg, you can see the starter, or the handle of the starter cord. It's in a vertical position, and there you can see right at the end, he finally lets it go. So I don't know if it got hooked on a finger, wrapped around his wrist. You can see him throw it away. Great job keeping it together and operating. Couldn't see that from the other angle. So Nate, thanks for confessing so we could all go back and watch that together. Well, here's a look over on stand number 1. There was the cookie of concern for Arden Koger Jr. and his Rotax-powered machine. You can see it was kind of broken away at the bottom. He saw it sitting on the stage. There you go. There's the moment of realization. Goes back up and rips one more off, and it was probably good because when that came off the log, it did not look like a complete cut.
Well, there you want the official time for Nate Hodges, 6.54, handicapping himself, so you've got to figure that there's plenty of room for that one to go down as he proceeds through the progression here of these U.S. championships. Arden Koger with the extra cut there at 12.17, but it is an official time.
Kevin, we have that hot saw with the carbon fiber modification on the right here. Matt Koger just brought out, but he added a couple $1,000s to the bill to get that carbon fiber.
Yeah, a couple $1,000s to save a couple ounces along the way, but at this level of competition, you're going to do everything you can to make any modification you can to have any advantage that you can, maybe even color option as well. Saw on stand number 1, that's Purple Rain.
Oh, yes, yes, well known.
A Prince tribute from the Minneapolis-St. Paul co-resident Cassidy Shear.
So back to the carbon fiber. What particular parts of the saw would now be made of carbon fiber?
If we get a good shot in on it tight, part of the side cover is part of the assembly, the chassis. There's a good, where the print is at the bottom, you can kind of see that graphics on the bottom there. That whole sub-assembly going out to the handle is carbon fiber instead of a big aluminum plate. You can see it wraps around the back there where he's putting his leg. The actual hand grip where his throttle is still aluminum, but most of that lower kind of sub-assembly at the back is carbon fiber. And I don't know if the crankshaft cover on the left side may also be carbon fiber.
Final heat of Pool A, final event. One more big round of applause for Cassidy Shear and Matt Koger.
Warm up your saws.
That's never a good feeling. Cassidy Shear on stand 1, the saw did not fire off on that first pull to start a cord.
Thirty seconds. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Matt Koger off the wood well before Cassidy Shear, but trouble on the upcut for Matt Koger. That's only a partial cut. He, like Arden Koger Jr., had to go back and pick up a fourth one. I think he made it work. 3 out of 4 is going to have to get it done. That is not the emotion you want to go into finals day with.
On the upcut, he blew out the far side. Quickly looked down, noticed the problem, went back, had plenty of wood to make the fourth cut. But again, that's just presence of mind to know he's got to make that third cut. As long as 3 complete discs are on the ground, he's going to get points. Cassidy Shear got that saw going. We'll see what head judge Rich Hallett says.
Nice job, gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Yeah. Anytime Matt Koger talks, we want to have the mic going because there's a lot of information coming out of here. You said, look, I'm trying to change things up. I'm trying to go full throttle. What does that mean?
Just, there's times that you get a little apprehensive and you let off the throttle as you're trying to get in through your transitions instead of just holding it open and just give the mustard, like Adam LaSalle would say. But really, it's just that habit, trying to get out of that habit, and that was something that me and my dad worked on really hard a couple of weeks. So you just got to try to apply it and see how it works.
While I have you here, I want to revisit what happened in the finals last year. The last 2 attempts to get a 7th championship have come down to the hot saw, and it's gone bad. Or I think last year, was it points unawareness on your behalf because it looked like it wasn't your fastest attempt to get those 3 discs?
I think it was just the points awareness, just knowing that like where the points were coming out, losing points here and there, and just kind of shoring that up a little bit, and then that kind of gives you a little bit of extra wiggle room. But at this level, you don't have any wiggle room at all, so you just got to kind of go for it anyway.
You're going for the 7th championship in the finals coming up. How do you feel?
We're just going to go for it and see what happens, and I'll let the chips fall where they may.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
There you see where the chips fell
Big
for
round
Matt
of applause
Koger
for
here
Matt Koger.
tonight in his qualifying round. He had the presence of mind to go back and pick up that run, but again, you really want to see a good, clean run on this qualification day. Gives you that great shot in the arm, that boost of confidence to move into the finals.
Well, that is what Cassidy Shear got for sure. And an official time for Cassidy of 6.39. That is going to be the top time in hot salt. There's your final results, and Cassidy Shear on top in the hot saw. Again, official time of 6.39. Nate Hodges will be in second place, not too far behind that number right there at 6.54. Ben Nicely, Matt Koger with multiple discs, and ditto for Arden Koger Jr., but 5 of the 6 putting a time up. That's kind of almost extraordinary, Kevin.
And in a discipline where there's so much room for error, so many things that can go wrong, we'll take it.
Absolutely. Well, there are your final results there. We were looking for 6 who will advance, fight their way to the finals, and that job is done for Cassidy Shear, Matt Koger, Nate Hodges, Arden Koger Jr., Ben Nicely, and Calvin Willard. Those 6 will appear in the championship round, which is coming up tomorrow. We've got Pool B action on the way, however, so stick with us here and we'll get 6 more qualifiers for the big dance tomorrow.
STIHL, the name you love and trust, is at acehardware.com. From chainsaws to edgers, trimmers to blowers, Ace has the STIHL equipment you need. Just pick your power. From gas to battery, STIHL has you covered at acehardware.com.
Just 3 words tell you everything you need to know. They tell you why we employ more than 2,000 workers at our factory in Virginia Beach, and why over 10,000 local STIHL dealers are putting battery power in the hands of Americans. Not everyone can say that, but we can. Made in America. Real STIHL. Find yours.
Duluth Trading Company was born from generations who showed us that the only way to live life is to live it hands-on.
To do it the hard way. To take the trail untrodden. To take the damn thing apart, put it back together, and have the world be better for it.
We don't think that the go all in, dig deep, and get your hands dirty spirit exists in everybody.
We know it does. Duluth Trading. Take on life with your own 2 hands.
Let's roll, let's go.
When we work in harmony, anything is possible.